Well, a good day to you. Welcome. Take two with Jerry and Debbie and you getting underway here. Start of another week, but not just any week. It is the start of Holy Week. Actually, kind of started yesterday. So I know Debbie will join me in hoping and praying that your Lent has gone well and that it finishes strong as we get set for the beautiful, glorious celebration of Easter. Hey, Deb.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Jerry. Is it my imagination, or did Ace McKay, our producer, kind of jazz up our song show? The song show. The theme song for our show. It seems like a little jazzier. Did you catch it?
Yeah, I think he tweaked it a little bit.
Wow, I really like it. Way to go, Ace. That is really cool. It's like heart-pounding opener there. I love it. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Jerry, happy Holy Week to you. We had a great Palm Sunday liturgy celebration, and I have to tell you, may I just say this because it's in the news. Our show is in the news, folks. This is our monthly show, so we bring local news, personal news, headline news, cable news, any news you want to talk about, church news, Vatican news, okay, to the table. So all you have to do is dial in 833-288-3986. This is kind of news in the Giorgiani household, but we went to Palm Sunday, and I'm since as a little kid, I don't know if you ever did this, I'm like really big on making the palms into crosses. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I was sitting there making we got there early to Mass, Marty and I was sitting there making the cross, and this beautiful, beautiful lady, about probably around 75, 80 years old, she tapped on my shoulder. I've never seen her before at Mass. I mean, she's been at Mass, but we were probably at different Mass times. And she tapped me on the shoulder and she says, "Excuse me." She says, "Would you make me a cross out of the palms?" She says, a little boy, for many years at her old parish, they came from a different state, 'cause a lot of people retire in Arizona. She says, a little boy used to make him for me every year. And I just looked forward to it. So I did one really, really good, and I gave it back, I gave it to her. And then I made one for Marty and one for myself. And at the end of Mass, her husband, beautiful man, you talk about their sacrament was showing. He tapped me as we were walking out, and he goes, "Can I just say thank you?" He says, "You really made my wife's day." He goes, "Happy Holy Week." And I thought, wow, by just making a simple palm branch cross. Mm-hmm. And then I think to myself, we look at the news, Jerry, and all we hear is these tragic, killings and, murders and what's going on in Ukraine and Russia and people dying and people not even caring that the death toll is rising and all these things. And I think, wow, something's missed. We're losing something, we need to get back to the heart of things. What do you think about that? I wasn't trying to brag about myself, but I was just thinking like a simple gesture of giving something. It just meant so much to people.
Yeah, it does. And, do the little things with great love, mm-hmm. as St. Teresa of Avila or St. Teresa of Lisieux?
St. Teresa of Calcutta.
Oh,
Mother
St. Teresa
said that.
Well, one of the St. Teresas. Do the little things with great love. Yeah, so I agree with you completely, and it can turn a person's day around and maybe even change their life completely. So I am in complete agreement with you, and it is our In the News show. So if there's something going on in the news that you would like to talk about, 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. It could be, of course, the situation in Ukraine, what's going on over there. It could be any global news story that you've heard. Mm-hmm. It could be national, and we really especially appreciate when you call in and tell us about something that's happened local in your area. It brings it to our attention. Maybe it's something we need to pray about. So if you'd like to get on and talk about a news article from anywhere, give us a call at 833-288-3986.
So I'm worried that I think we're getting desensitized by all of the traumatic news headlines and stories that are coming out, where there's a constant barrage of death and murders and this and that, and we're getting it. Could we be getting desensitized, folks? Because I'm getting concerned that every single life is a miracle, every life is precious, every single life. but yet we're totaling up lives like, oh, 10 died today or 15 died. It's like that's starting to get very I don't know, unsettling. I'm getting very nervous about that because actually locally it happened right here where I live in Gilbert, Arizona. On Friday evening, there was a 27-year-old man that had an order of protection against his girlfriend, and literally only a mile and a half from where I live in a beautiful area, he showed up at her apartment, and the police were called. And he had a gun. They had a 3-hour standoff, and at 2 a.m, the police shot him and killed him.
Oh boy.
But everybody was talking, and you don't normally hear that in where I live because it's a very, very family a town, very family, and so you don't normally hear it. But everybody was talking about the next day at mass. They're like, "Hey, did you hear about the 27-year-old that got shot by the police and killed, and he had a gun?" And it was like, and then they moved on. So like, Happy Palm Sunday. It's like, oh my goodness, what is? I don't know. Something's a little. Did you feel it, Jerry? It's like off.
Yeah, well, you hear things like, well, at least only 20 people died. Well, one death is too many from a tragedy. So I agree with you absolutely. And calls are coming in. Couple lines still open in the news. What would you like to talk about? 833-288-3986. It could be something going on in your own life that's news that you would like to share. 833-288-3986. And something I would love to hear some takes on is this. And Debbie, you'll get you'll appreciate this. This is the time of year when magazines and the TV news and newspapers all kind of present their image of Jesus. You go through the grocery store checkout line. And you see Jesus, who he really was, or something like this. And I don't buy these publications, but they all sort of fight for our attention at this time of year. And when you read these things, it's never really from rarely. I shouldn't say never, but it's rarely from a really truly solidly Orthodox Catholic Christian perspective. Usually there's a little bit of a spin, maybe meant to put a little bit of doubt in your mind or something. So, love to hear if anybody has any thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a good topic. It's our In the News show. It's a monthly show, and it's an open forum for you to call in at 833-288-3986.
This is Joan Lewis from Vatican Insider.
For Church Pop, I'm Brantley Milligan.
Get trusted Catholic news every day on EWTN radio and television.
This Lenten season, read, reflect, and revive your faith with EWTN's National Catholic Register. Only the Register provides trusted news reporting and in-depth analysis that's always true to Catholic teaching. It informs, inspires, and equips Catholics to engage the world around them with the truth of the gospel. Let the Register accompany you, help you go deeper spiritually, and enrich your journey this Lent and beyond. Try it for free today and get it delivered to your home, office, or parish. Get 6 free issues today online at ncregister.com/radio or call 800-421-3230 and mention code radio. That's ncregister.com/radio or call 800-421-3230 and mention code radio. The National Catholic Register. Read faithfully.
Celebrate a nun like no other. Join us in honoring EWTN's beloved foundress, Mother Angelica, and her remarkable life, words, works, and remembrances. Visit EWTN.com/Mother Angelica today.
Well, thank you for being with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and it is your show. You always inspire and edify and inform and educate, and you can certainly inform us today about something in the news that has caught your attention. 833-288-3986. And we have news covered for you at EWTN from Rome to your home. EWTN's Vatican Bureau, where you can watch all of the important events from Rome, even if you don't have TV access. Using the latest technology, we made it possible to watch the latest news from the Holy See. all delivered directly to your home via live streams. You can watch live EWTN on YouTube and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's From Rome to Home, all the news you need to know from the EWTN Vatican Bureau.
Okay, you could call in. This is our In the News show. You can bring something to the table that happened locally in your neighborhood, at your parish. And then you can just, widen it out to a regional news, national news, world news, anything you want to talk about, something that you want to bring to our attention that we can discuss. We're not out to have any type of, real big, debates or anything like that. We just really want to talk about it so we can become aware. Okay, so you do not have to be Catholic to call in. Please dial this number right now, 833-288-3986, if you have something to share of what's going on in the news. And I know we're going to get to Nancy, so Nancy, hold on. I just wanted to also share, I think it would be irresponsible of us to not mention, because it's been all over the news cycles, about the pink, blue, and purple curriculum that's going to be unveiled in New Jersey in the fall, where they are going to make part of the education of our first and second graders this idea of really sowing seeds of gender confusion, really just putting thoughts into these young minds of them being introducing this idea of a possibility of them being uncomfortable in their skin. Okay, at first and second grade, I'm no therapist or clinical, anything that has that kind of level of studying, first and second graders. But I was in religious education of that grade level for many, many years. These kids cannot handle that. And I personally think it's a form of child abuse. I think it's terrible to do that, to infiltrate their minds with ideas that these kids aren't even thinking about is brutal. And here we are. And New Jersey is leading the way with this curriculum in the fall, supposedly.
Yeah, dear Lord, help us. You're right, child abuse indeed. And there may be similar things going on in your community. Maybe you would like to, talk about, the curriculum or curricula that are being used in your area there. Has some of this stuff gotten into what your kids are being taught? I know a lot of people are choosing to take their kids out of schools that teach such things, and I certainly applaud them for that if they're able to do that from a financial and logistical standpoint. So very, very troubling indeed. 833-288-3986 is the number to get on the program today.
Okay, we're going to Nancy first. Nancy is first up on our In the News show. And Nancy's in Dallas, Texas, listening on our friends at Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Nancy. Happy Holy Week to you.
Happy Holy Week to you, and God bless you. And I have a couple of things, so I'll try and be brief but precise. And first, I want to preface it with Jesus was never politically correct. I mean, when he pulled up the Sadducees and Pharisees, he says, you're a whitewashed tomb full of dead man's bones, And with the open border society, what we're seeing, that is supposed to be like such a beautiful thing, but actually it's like, I don't think borders are going to be any good till Jesus comes back, because if you see the fruit of these people that are behind the immigration, behind the push for abortions, where all these immigrants are coming in, they're going to have government subsidies for free abortion. You see what they're teaching in the schools. Anything that's coming from the supposedly open, good borders, for with the invasion of the immigrants, which I love all kinds of people, but at the same time, you have to wonder the people that are behind this and the fruit that's coming from them at the top, Also, there's going to be government subsidies, worldwide, for investment in solar. It was like a good thing to invest in. And you see what's happened in the United States now when we're not energy independent anymore, what's going on, because they want to close that down because there's so many celebrities, millionaires that have invested in solar that everything is being fueled by that investment. And I was wondering, at the Vatican, when they put out that letter, Anthony Blinken and John Kerry were there. John Kerry's making millions, just over millions, with energy investment. I was wondering, did the church invest in solar too? It's like there's just so much going on that is being driven by corrupt politicians and people who invested, maybe thinking, oh, solar is nice, blah, blah, blah. But, they're going to make millions and billions for their investment. And in the meantime, we see what's going on, and we see like a push towards global dominance and the fruit of it, using rooms for people, making a permanent, addictive, dependent people. And then it's going to be regulated. If you go on Google and Open Border Society, it's the government and private enterprises are going to run those, and they're going to make billions and millions.
Yeah. Nancy, how do you address all these things? Everything you're saying is, you bring up some very important, issues that we should be looking into and researching with all our might. But we're accepting these news headlines, and we're just accepting them as gospel. We say, oh, that's what it has to be. The planet's going to end in 12 years and blah, blah, blah. And we just go along with it. And but Nancy, follow the money. Follow the money, and you'll see the source of where things are really coming from and where they're headed. And that's a real problem, because if you follow the money on so many of these things, it's not good. And you can see the problems with it. And it's not what it appears to be. Unfortunately, Nancy, we're in a world where everybody is just going off of news blurbs instead of the full, real story. They're going off of the headlines or the little thing that comes across the screen that shows, one line of what's happening, and they're making their assessments based on that. It's very problematic. It's filled with error. And quite honestly, Nancy, a lot of it, and most of it, I think, is not of God. And when it's not of God, we've got mass confusion and chaos. And good luck to all of us, because we're all going to suffer. See, people think, oh, well, if I have money, I can rise above it. Or if I have power, or if I have influence. The truth of the matter is, we're the body of Christ. So when half of it's broken, we're all broken. So it's a big problem. I'm right with you, Nancy. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, it's funny, you and I both jot down some notes for each call on the program, and I typed a note to myself: always follow the money. And so you're absolutely right. And
sound bites, yeah.
And you're right. You were talking about we get our news in kind of more in sound bites, and you also see with the media, you can tell that there is that there's sort of a coordinated effort on certain agendas. Because if you look at or read, you'll see the same headlines, you see the same talking points, you see the same, prophecies of doom, so to speak, regarding like the planet and all of that stuff. But I agree with you, Nancy. Jesus was never politically correct. That was among the things that got him killed. So appreciate your thoughts on these items today that you brought to the program. Anything else? Oh, I guess we lost Nancy. So
well, yeah, and the other thing too is Nancy brings up a good point. The critical thinking is so absent these days. It's really it's not good. We really need to get back. I'm troubled by the fact that we don't use books anymore, or libraries or anything. I mean, nobody's doing any research anymore. We do it in little drips and drabs on the internet, but that's not really research. And some of that stuff you can't even verify. We're in a bad state of affairs, folks. If you don't see it, but you know what? We got to maintain joy. We have to maintain joy, and we have to stand tall and get our eyes fixed on Jesus and keep marching forward. And that is true. But we have to also recognize that we're in a mess, because if you don't recognize that there is a problem, you're never going to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just thinking back to my college days studying philosophy, and the great philosopher Socrates actually was executed, very much in part because, he was accused of corrupting the youth by simply encouraging them to think critically, to examine everything, to have an open mind. And the problem is we have so many, I would say by now generations, Debbie, not just a generation or a couple generations, but probably several that have been educated in such a way that they simply blindly accept whatever they're told, especially in the media, which is it's very, very, very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, just to be totally transparent, some of the things that I'm seeing on the news, on the cable news networks, and I watch, a few of them just to kind of get a well-rounded view of what everybody's saying. I don't even know if I believe some of these reports that are coming out of Russia and Ukraine. I mean, some of it is it's really strange, folks. I mean, they're saying one thing, and then and then 30 minutes later they're saying something totally different, and I'm saying, okay, where's the truth? Where's the truth? I mean, something's really wrong here. And is anybody else feeling that? Because I feel it very deep in my spirit. But let's hear what Rebecca has to say, shall we, Jerry? In
Sure.
Columbus, Ohio, listening on our friends at St. Gabriel Radio. Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for waiting and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I
So
was
tell us.
calling because something you were speaking about just reminded me of it, about things that they're being taught to the preschoolers and kindergartners and little kids in schools. And my family and I were at the library. We have to go for a week for my son to log on to his online class before our music in that community. And my daughter picked up a pamphlet off the table, and it was one of those gender unicorn pamphlets. I guess it's like, quote unquote, education about the different gender type of choices that people can make or something. I'm not sure. But the only reason, I just wanted people to know that, to parents to watch out for that, the only reason I was aware of that even existed was because I was at a family honor teacher training course the week before, and they talked about that as part of our training, about the different gender confusion things that are going on and being taught in the schools, and how priests and parishes can give a pastoral approach or help people who are dealing with same-sex attraction. And they talk about, loving the person and being kind, but also telling the truth. And so I learned that at that training, and sure enough, the next week, we're at the library, and my daughter picks up this very colorful, very child-friendly pamphlet with this rainbowy unicorn on it. And she's just, and I can tell, and I watched her do it. It was just out of curiosity, like, oh, what's this? This looks colorful. And I said, what's that? And I looked over her shoulder, and I was like, oh. And immediately, it was exactly what the picture was at my training. I put it back on the table, and I said, let's go talk in the car. And we talked about it in the car. And, had I not even had that training, she would have picked up the pamphlet, taken it to the back of the minivan, and would have been reading all about it on the way home, and I never would have even known. So I'm just grateful for that family honor training, but also just that it's frustrating for me that, I can't even go to the library without the stuff being, placed at kids' eye level, targeting them.
May I ask, how old is your daughter, Rebecca?
She is, she just turned 12 in March.
12. Okay. And so this was placed out in the library where little kids could pick it up without, because kids used to go through the libraries all the time. Okay. So
she was afraid to go to the library the next time. And I said, well, let's go be a light in the darkness. And she was okay with that.
May I make a suggestion? Possibly go back to the head, the person that's in charge of the library, and say, this is inappropriate to have this out. You have to have, you could have a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old pick that up and not be able to figure out exactly, it may not be age appropriate. So, the whole thing is, I think there has to be a little bit of pushback on these things that are so readily available to our kids and so easily available. If we don't speak up, then I'm not saying you didn't. I'm just saying I just would encourage folks to just, you can just make your complaint known in a very quick and gentle way. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I had not said anything yet, because I've been thinking about it, praying about it, because I know that the roots of this thing is far deeper than any of us can ever possibly imagine.
Right.
As far as you're saying, where all the money is, and where all that the whole the Disney mess and all that stuff that's going on. And so I was feeling like what's my little comment going to do to change something that's so systematically ingrained in everything about our society. But I appreciate the encouragement, and I'll write a letter to the library.
Well, yeah, because sometimes they do this just to test the waters, to see if anybody's going to say anything. And it really is. It just takes a little gentle, like I did it with a restaurant recently. There was something on, I won't even get into it. There was something at this restaurant that I used to love to go to, and I was just appalled. And I said, I'll never come back again. That's all I had to say. Next time I went, it wasn't there anymore. Right, Jerry?
Yeah. Rebecca, thank you for the call. If you can hold on, I've got a few thoughts. If you need to run, that's fine. You can listen on the air. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. 833-288-3986. In the news today, what would you like to talk about?
Father Benedict Groeschel.
I want to welcome you, if you're not familiar, with the wonderful world of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. I think of the great faith of the immigrants from Europe, Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, Jewish, the immigrants from Asia, and how they went on with great courage and determination. If you go visit this Ellis Island in New York City, you'll see endless pictures of faces marked by faith and courage and trust in God. That's the work of the Holy Spirit. What will America become if it makes it impossible for the Holy Spirit to work here because of untruth and self-indulgence and paganism?
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
You can be a part of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Text EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response, then text your first name and question. It's that easy. Message and data rates may apply.
The EWTN home video highlight for April is Our Hermitage and In His Sandals. In both these programs, Mother Angelica uses her unique spiritual genius to crack open the mysteries of the Bible. Order your DVD and receive a free copy of Mother Angelica's book, In His Sandals, A Journey with Jesus, at EWTNRC.com or call 1-800-854-6316.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
So good to have you with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, getting Holy Week underway. We will have programming all the way up until Friday. EWTN will have beautiful programming during the Triduum and on Easter, and we'll be telling you more and more about that as the week goes along. Talking with Rebecca in Columbus, Ohio. And Rebecca, you've raised a number of concerns, and I think I just want to pick up where Debbie left off, and that is so many things are kind of floated out there in a quiet way, no fanfare or anything like that, sort of a trial balloon. And unless there is reaction or pushback, it's simply going to be, the ball's going to be pushed further down the field, so to speak. And I know that parents are pulled in 1,000 different directions, but I know, Rebecca, you would agree with this, and hopefully every parent listening, the most important thing that a parent can do is know what your kids are doing. Remember the old saying, it's 11 p.m., do you know where your kids are? Well, nowadays it's 24/7. You have to know where your kids are, what they're doing on their gadgets, the curriculum in their school, what they're being taught, the materials that they're being exposed to, the conversations that they are having. And I think this is really, we've got to get a real solid grip on this. And, Rebecca, you sound like a great mom, and I have no doubt that you, feel this way. At least I presume that you would.
Thank you very much. That helps a lot.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you. God bless you, Rebecca. Thanks for being part of the program today.
Yeah. And you know what else? I just want to say real quickly, we don't have to make a big, display of, a big grandiose, statement that goes out there and gets picked up on the 5 o'clock news. It can just be a simple statement. I'm offended by this. I will not come back anymore. I will not bring my children to any activities. We can do it in a way that gets our point across without having all the extra, drama that sometimes happens when the news loves to pick it up. If you have something to say about the news, what's going on in the world or what's going on in where you live, please share with us right now. You have plenty of time to get on the show, but you got to hurry. 833-288-3986. Go figure that statement out. Okay, so Angie is up next in Bronx, New York. Hi, Angie. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm glad to come on. This is very important. Everybody should read the Bible and pray to Jesus. That's what he wants you to do. Pray to him and read the Bible. That's,
Sure.
Yeah, especially today where the way the world is going is very bad. We need help, and it's very good therapy for us,
Sure.
Thanks for taking my call. All right?
Oh, well, sure, Angie, you're very, very welcome. And Angie makes a great point. Debbie, to be discerning and to be able to think critically and make proper judgments, and I'm not talking about judging people, I'm talking about we are called to make judgments, distinctions between right and wrong. And we cannot do that if we are not on our knees praying, if we don't have a relationship with Jesus, if we're not receiving the sacraments. It's very, very easy for us to say, oh, well, maybe that's not so bad after all. And then all of a sudden, we're being swept away with some very godless things. So, Angie, way to go. Read the Bible and pray to Jesus. You are right on about that.
Spot on, Angie. Thank you so much. Who's going to join Angie? Pick up that open phone line at 833-288-3986 and share a news story with us that you would like the world to know and we can talk about. Real quickly, Jerry, I just wanted to say that, the kids are being faced. They are getting hit with adult situations at a very early age. And I think we all need to stop for a minute and just think about that. We are having adult conversations with these young minds and expecting them to make decisions about their life at 7, 8, and 9 years old. And this is really, really problematic. Then you add the level of the world is telling us God's not here, God doesn't exist, God's not around, God abandoned us, whatever, okay? And so then now these kids there's no formation, and we're hitting them with real world, mature problems. We're going to have a generation that is very, very confused and traumatized. That's just my feeling on it.
Well, and just as a matter of fact, that will continue on to the next generation and the next generation. Each generation, if we allow our morals to be eroded, then the next generation is very likely going to see them eroded even more. That's right. So it is a really crucial time in our national history and our world history. We got some comments on social media. I thought I would drop in a couple, if you don't mind,
okay.
Debbie.
Absolutely.
We are streaming the video of today's show on YouTube and Facebook. Hello there. Michael P., a regular viewer and contributor, says, in local news, my home parish hosted Father Leo Patalinghug for an evening of sharing a meal with Faith a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Father Leo's
and
great.
He's such a good chef. Oh, is he amazing? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
Pam is watching on Facebook. Pam says, I was upset after reading where Carrie Burke, president of Disney's General Entertainment Content, announced on a company-wide Zoom call in March that as, quote, the mother of 2 queer children, end quote, she intends to drastically ramp up queer visibility within the Magic Kingdom, increasing characters in Disney productions that are LGBTQIA or other underrepresented minorities by a whopping 50% by the end of 2022. Burke indicated that her plan is a response to Florida's, quote, just say gay law. And so Pam has some thoughts to share on that, and I think they're right on.
A lot is going on. Disney has definitely changed over the years. Let's hear what Susan has to say. And I believe I hope I have your town right. Merritt Island, Florida, and you're listening on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Susan.
Hi. Yeah, that's correct. I just wanted to bring up something that I read, and I feel like it's important because a lot of people don't always see these things. Just a few weeks ago, the president mentioned that we can expect food shortages, and I think within the last week, they've just slaughtered in Iowa 5.9 million chickens. And they say it's through the bird flu, of course, how you can possibly know with that many. So I just thought it was coincidence that they are preparing us, telling us there's going to be a food shortage, and then things like this happen. So it's just alarming to me, rationing baby formula, things like that. What is happening and what kind of position, especially families, which, it's getting harder and harder to get by.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the elites, let's face it, the elites don't care. They don't care that we're struggling, going paycheck to paycheck, and added, $150 to the food bill could break a family and could cause a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on families. They don't care. They're living, they've got their, guard gated communities and their Secret Service and their protection and the food, and they have all of their, avenues covered that they're going to sustain them and keep them in the position that they're in. The rest of us are the ones who are suffering, and I agree with you. I mean, but here's the problem, Susan. You say anything like this, people say, "Oh, are you one of those conspiracy theory person? Are you a Trump follower? Are you this? Are you that?" All it is throwing labels at each other because, again, like Jerry said at the beginning of the show, we don't really want to get to the truth. People don't want to get to the truth because we've lost that. It's all about listening to who's ever speaking the loudest and who has the power and influence and control. And I feel bad for all of us who are going to suffer greatly. And, and it's very sad, very tragic, very sad. But hopefully, as Christians, I pray, I told this to Jerry last week, I pray all of the Christian community comes together and really works together as brothers and sisters in Christ to support one another and help us all through this, because I think we're going to need each other. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, I agree completely. And Susan, appreciate your call. Let's face it. "Quote unquote" pandemics come in different shapes and sizes. We're going through several pandemics, not necessarily medical or health wise or whatever. I'm just kind of using that word in a loose sort of way. But we are definitely going through a lot of different crises right now. And I would just simply say, Jesus exhorts us so much in the Bible to be there for one another, to support one another. As Debbie, I think you said, a lot of people are going to be suffering greatly because of the increased food budget, the gas, and all of this. Maybe losing their jobs, whatever the case may be. We have to come together. We are our brother's keeper. We have to remember that. And be consciously, intentionally aware of the needs of not just our own families, but those around us, maybe in our neighborhoods. And I would simply add at the end of this, you won't be surprised by this, Debbie, folks, it's that time of season, that time of the year when Catholic radio stations and EWTN are asking you for financial help as well. And a lot of people are finding it hard to do that right now because of the economic situation. Please do not abandon Catholic media, EWTN, and your local radio station. Because this is a voice of sanity. We think critically. We speak the truth, and that is not our truth. That's not self-congratulations. That's simply the truth is real. It is out there, and we need to be hearing it. Where else are we going to be hearing the fullness of Christian truth, morality, faith, reason, sanity, except right here? So, sorry about that. I went on a little longer than I thought I would.
No, you were
Susan,
great. You were
ahead,
great.
Debbie.
And truth has a name, and it's Jesus. And we are followers and seekers of the truth. We're not conspiracy theorists and all this other stuff. We just want the truth, right, Susan?
That's right. We just have to live the love of Christ within us and share it and help one another. Like you said, the Christian community needs to come together, and the love of Christ is bigger than any of these elite people and their plans.
Yep. Amen. Amen, Susan. Keep the faith, Susan. Love Florida. You guys are doing great work, and you're leaders in the country, and that's a good thing. Jerry, we've got a lot of text messages coming in. A lot of people are really disturbed about what's going on in New Jersey. I would say go to your Department of Education and just voice your concerns about it. That's all you got to do. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm from New Jersey. I love New Jersey. Born and raised there for 18 years. I love it. It's one of the best kept secrets of the country. And this is just sad that it's going in that direction.
Yeah, as so many other places are. And just through prayer and prayer and sacrifice, and the three things of Lent, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, are certainly going to help us. We need to be doing those things year-round, not just during Lent. Okay, let's go to Jarrett in Kansas. Jarrett is listening on the EWTN app. Hello, Jarrett. Welcome.
Hey, Gary, Debbie. Gary, you just hit it right on the head. I was calling in to say the exact same thing about listening to the news programs on EWTN. I don't listen to any secular news or my local news hardly anymore, because I just feel like what I get from Teresa Tomeo and Al Cresta and all those guys, it is the truth. And they do their best to go out and find the truth. And I feel like if it's not on their program, it's probably not the truth. And friends and family that just watch Fox News 24 hours a day, and they're just so scared and so fearful of everything. I feel so much better just turning that off and listening to Teresa Tomeo every morning.
Yeah, not a bad choice at all. And Teresa, and I've often said, I think Al Cresta has one of the most important shows on all of Catholic radio, because he really dives deeply. Debbie, you're agreeing with me.
I agree.
I knew you would. You know, Teresa has a great show. Al dives deeply into news and current events and things, not just secular things, but things going on in the church as well, and many of the other great shows on EWTN. So, yeah, I mean, I don't tell everybody necessarily you shouldn't listen to anything else, but you should really make part of your media consumption what is here on EWTN.
A perfect example, Jarrett and Jerry. Remember when the Covington Catholic, the March for Life, when the boy was being, just
Nicholas Sandman.
How would you say it? Yeah, Nicholas Sandman. Yeah. Okay, when that all came out, remember this, Jarrett? When that all came out, Al Cresta did exactly what Jerry said. He went deep into the research, and he came out right away and stated exactly what happened. And do you know that you could hear it? People were slamming him all over the place, saying, "No, that's not it. You have to look at the other side." Well, wouldn't you know, Al Cresta was right, and he nailed every part of the details of that, and he got it right from the beginning. Why? Because he did the research. He went to the background of it. He removed all of the political agendas and all of the propaganda and all of the news stories that everybody wanted to be told. He took that all away and got to the truth, and he was spot on. God bless him. But he went out there, and I remember when we had him on our show, Jarrett, and we had some feedback from people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be saying those things. You have no proof." Well, Al did the research, and it was definitely spot on. What do you think, Jarrett?
Oh, yeah, definitely, and because he cares. He cares about his listeners, and he knows his listeners care about what he has to say, and going above and beyond is how he shows that he cares for his listeners, that they get the truth.
That's right.
The truth.
Get the truth. Yeah. People sometimes get uncomfortable with the truth. Let's face it. Okay. Because if you really have to deal with the truth, you have to deal with the fact that you made some bad choices and you made some mistakes. And so people would like to avoid the truth, because in avoiding the truth, you can stay in this la-la land that you think you're okay. And we're not okay. We're getting more and more compromised, and we're offending God. It's so obvious. If anybody can't see it, then I would say, please clear out, the sand in your eyes and kind of look, put on your glasses and look clear in a clear way, because our world is not going in the right direction. And if we don't bring it back soon, I truly believe that our good Lord is going to somehow teach us a lesson, and we deserve it. I'm just going to say it. Jerry?
No, I think everything you said was right on. Jarrett, anything else?
I just want to say I really appreciate it. I'm a truck driver. I get in my truck first thing in the morning. I turn on EWTN, and I'm on it all day. It never leaves my station. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jarrett. Got safe travels out there.
Yeah,
Thank
safe
thank you
traveling.
for what you do.
Yes.
We were talking about, supply shortages and food and all of that. Yeah, Jarrett and all of our truckers and people who, bring us the creature comforts of life. We thank you so much for that, for your sacrifices.
I know you wanted to share the EWTN radio special programming with our Take Two family.
Yeah, EWTN radio special programming this week for Holy Week. And today it actually is getting underway. Today at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, there's a Holy Week retreat, part one of that Holy Week retreat with Father Pablo Straub. So tune in today, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on most of these same EWTN stations.
Mm-hmm. Peter is up next in New York, listening on our friends at the Station of the Cross. Hi, Peter. Thanks for waiting.
Hello, how are you folks today?
Doing well. How are you, Peter?
Okay. Well, I just wanted to comment. I'm a relatively new listener to this radio station. But about a week or so ago, one person commented, what could they do if they were confronted by a demon? And the host of the show commented, you would use the word sanctus, sanctus, sanctus. And just occurred to me that as an American, we have a one-word phrase that if our politicians or those who are in the political elite here, that might bring them great pain and worry and confusion. And the word is recall, recall, recall. Very seldomly used in the country, but maybe if a few of them happened, things might change.
Well, that is possible. Recalls do happen. Actually, we had one in my state. Our governor was, he was recall. There were enough signatures to get a recall election, and not really surprisingly to me, it was voted down, and so he remained as the governor. But I agree with you, Peter. Those things are very, very helpful at times. I think the spiritual component that you've talked about, Debbie is really big on this. She might probably say a lot better than I can, but the spiritual warfare side of this, we definitely have at our fingertips, Debbie, the tools, the resources, the spiritual power. It comes from God, not from us, but God allows us through our prayers, through various means, to be able to tell darkness and the demons to take a hike, so to speak.
In the name of Jesus. That's right. Peter, I sure hope you love what you're hearing on EWTN, and we hope you continue to listen and call in as well. And thank you for calling our show. I just wanted to say that since you're kind of a new listener to EWTN, I just wanted to say that frequently Jerry and I share with our listeners that it is really important now more than ever that folks pray the St. Michael prayer in the morning and in the evening. And as a matter of fact, folks, I would say this because I think we're in those urgent times right now, critical times. I think when you interact with anyone that is not of you know what their faith is, because you only know a person as much as they know God. Okay. So if you don't know that person and you're encountering somebody, I would encourage people to say the St. Michael prayer quietly before they encounter anybody, because I think we're at that time right now where we're really coming against, it's good versus evil, and it's all around us, and we can actually enter into it very easily, not knowing that we're being drawn into evil. And that's why we must ask our personal guardian angel and then all of the angels and saints to really circle us and get around us and protect us, because we need it. This spiritual warfare is real, and we must understand it. What do you think, Peter?
I think that's a very well-said statement. Spiritual warfare is all around us, and that's why I thought of the word recall. Sometimes it only takes one word, but if, for example, a politician hears from his or her staff that, gee, people are calling up and commenting about this, hey, they'll look over their shoulder at a minimum, and it may cause them a lot more pain than you think.
Yeah. You're right, Peter. Thank you so much for joining us on our In the News show today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're going to try to, we still have a lot of calls. We're going to try to get to a couple more as time permits. Emily is in Massachusetts listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Emily. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much for taking my call.
Sure.
I would just like to make a few comments about the curriculum in our schools. I live in Woburn, Massachusetts, where in the junior high and in the high school, they're teaching this program. It's called Rights, Responsibility, what's the third word? And Respect. Rights, Respect, and Responsibility. It's not age appropriate. It's pornographic. And it is not medically accurate. And I did go to a school committee meeting. I went to several, and I had other people with me. And we spoke out about this curriculum. And as a result, we did get them to at least hone it. They're giving parents, I think, more of an opportunity to weigh into whether it's going to be taught in the junior high. They were all set to go to teach it in March, but because of our activism, they have at least put it off, which gives us a little more time to work on it. But what I want to mostly encourage is people to call their select people, their aldermen, if they still call them aldermen where they live. Where I live, they don't call them aldermen anymore. They call them city council people. Mm-hmm. Those people, in general, they're the ones that approve the budget for the school. And not that all those people, aldermen, select people, are going to be on our side, but there's always a few that are. And they can have some influence. And it's very important that not only they go to school committee meetings and speak out, but they also call all the, elected officials in their town, because those people know each other and have more influence. Mm-hmm. So, it's just, people are talking about it, but that's not enough. They have to act. They really, and not everybody can afford to take their kids out of a public school. It's a private school. So they really have to become very active, and they have to be careful of programs like Rights, Respect, and Responsibility. It sounds innocuous. It sounds wonderful.
Emily, for the sake of time, I'm just going to jump in. I apologize profusely for doing this, but we do run up against the clock here at the end of every day's program. But I just want to thank you for this call and this great reminder. I remember the old slogan years ago, think globally, act locally. Mm-hmm. And we need to be activists, not in any mean-spirited or violent way or anything. We need to act. We need to take action, make these phone calls, write those letters, go to the school board meetings and the council meetings and so forth. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, Debbie, a lot of people think it would not bear any fruit, but it can, and it does. Yeah. Thank you, Emily, so much.
Thank you, Emily. Gary and Dave and the others, we're not going to get to you today, but next month we have In the News again. Tomorrow is our All About Relationships show. It's super popular, uber popular, and you're going to want to listen to it because you're going to learn something about relationships, your family, your friends, your spouse, your coworkers, and it's a great show to share your wisdom about relationships. Jerry?
Yeah, well, maybe a good note to end the In the News show on is that Marcus Freeman, the new head football coach at Notre Dame, is bringing back the Saturday mandatory mass attendance for the football games at the University of Notre Dame. So that's great news. Until we talk again tomorrow, we want to wish you a beautiful and blessed day, and let's make it a great Holy Week, everyone. St. Joseph, please pray for us.
The most original and exclusive Catholic